Welcome to the Successful Nonprofits Bonus Break. I'm your host, Dolph Goldenberg. The bonus break is a short episode you can listen to while taking a coffee break and get the added bonus of making you and your nonprofit more successful. Produced as a companion to our longer Successful Nonprofits podcast, the bonus break covers all the topics you care most about: professional development, fundraising, governance, board relations, marketing tech, and more. Now, I received such strong feedback from our bonus break series about strategic planning that I am now offering another series. This one is on executive transition planning, which some of our listeners may know as succession planning. In this 7-part series, we're going to talk about a number of things. In this bonus break, today, we're going to talk about what a transition actually is, what a transition plan is, and why you need a transition plan. Next time, we're going to talk about the 4 types of transitions. On the 3rd bonus break in this series, that's a good time for us to stop and talk about executive director contracts, because I believe that they're an important part of your transition planning. In the 4th segment, we're going to talk about the actual interim plan. That's the meat and potatoes of how your organization is going to run its operations when it does not have a permanent chief executive in place. The 5th episode, we're going to talk about your executive director playbook. You might not know what that is yet, but you will by the end of the 5th episode. And following that, in the next episode, we're going to talk about the importance of reviewing and refreshing your plan every single year. And of course, we will round it out by having a discussion of whether you should hire a consultant or do it yourself. This is one of those tasks that your board can absolutely do on its own, so we'll really kind of explore the pros and cons of both. But again, today, what we're talking about is specifically, what is a transition plan and why does your nonprofit organization need one? Surprisingly, the vast majority of organizations do not have a transition plan. And according to the recent wake-up call, over 77% of organizations actually lack one. Now, with the length of executive tenure declining every year, with the coming wave of retiring executives, and with the burnout rate for first-time executive directors at an all-time high, failure to have a transition plan in place is a risky and dangerous place to be for your organization. And that's why I wanted to produce this series on succession planning. It will help guide you and your organization in the process, and it will definitely help make your organization stronger and more resilient, regardless of what the future holds for it. So today, again, we're focusing on 2 questions. What is a transition plan, and why do you need one? So starting with the basics, your transition plan is just that. It's a written document that the board is going to use if your executive director is no longer in that position. And so specifically, that plan figures out how to ensure operations run smoothly and that the transition is smooth if the ED takes a leave of absence or if the executive director leaves the organization. Good plans are well documented so that whether you have an interim person or a new permanent executive director stepping in, they can pick up the plan and have a clear sense of how to manage the organization or the department. Now, transition plans are important regardless of the number of staff or total revenue of an organization, but they are especially important in small and medium-sized organizations where the executive director will often wear multiple hats. A director running an organization with a staff of only 4 people, for example, may need to process payroll, submit a grant proposal, attend a coalition meeting, and maybe even make a key decision about employee health insurance. And they might have to do that all on the same day or same week. Now, if this fictional executive director who has to do 4 or 5 critical things today were to enter the witness protection program and disappear without a trace, the organization would likely scramble. They'd have to scramble to process payroll. I can actually kind of hear the treasurer now asking, wait, what's our payroll service? And how do I convince them that I'm representing the organization and not just some crank caller? Now, that organization would also probably miss the grant proposal deadline. fail to attend the coalition meeting, and stick their employees with the same crappy health insurance next year. While larger organizations may have more executives, which also means more institutional memory, they need to create transition plans for their executive director and each member of their management team because larger means more complex. And so the directors of finance, the director of programs, and the director of development are all wearing a lot of hats as well, and they would need their own transition plan. Transition planning is essentially, as you've probably picked up, risk management and contingency planning, all rolled into one. Now, the planning requires that the organization identify the various types of vacancies or departures and create sub-plans around each of them. It also requires that the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual tasks of the executive director are fully documented so that the organization can ensure all essential tasks occur in the event of a short-term or a long-term absence. And so in the coming episodes, that's what we're going to be talking about. In fact, in the very next episode, we're going to talk about the 4 different types of vacancies or departures that may occur and how you need to plan differently for them. This bonus break and the Successful Nonprofits podcast is produced by the Goldenberg Group as part of our mission to provide board development, strategic planning, and interim leadership to help nonprofits thrive in a competitive environment. Be sure to visit our website at successfulnonprofits.com or find me, Dolph Goldenberg, at goldenberggroup.com on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. And if you think your organization is ready to create a transition plan, reach out to me. I am currently booking new engagements about 4 to 5 months in advance, so the best way to get on my engagement calendar is to reach out to me now. Thank you for joining us for this bonus break, and I hope you gain some insight that will help your nonprofit thrive in a competitive environment.
I am not an accountant or attorney, and neither I nor the Goldenberg Group provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. This material has been provided for informational purposes only, is not intended to provide, and should not be relied on for tax, legal, or accounting advice. Always consult a qualified, licensed professional about such matters.